If you want to know what I'm laughing at in front of the screen right now, I thought this story was a joke. I thought it could be April Fool's. And guess what? We're a month away from that silly month of the year. Well, it's actually a pretty good month because in London, April is considered a spring month. And if you get that movie reference, you're such a good person. But today, it is Snow Not So White. Rachel Zegler, Gal Gadot, having that very embarrassing moment at last weekend's Oscars where Gal stood like a giraffe over the midget they call Rachel Zegler. You know, the woman who woke up one day and decided in 20 years' time I'm going to be the lead in a Disney live-action version of Snow White, except she's not quite there when it comes to the complexion.
We didn't even see it, but I saw the logo and I went, that's my name, Snow White's up there, and I cried my eyes out.
What was it like seeing yourself for the first time in full Snow White drag?
She's just not the fairest.
Oh, I know, I'm a terrible person for being like this. Call me a racist, call me whatever. I'm used to it already. Sticks and stones might break my bones, but words will never harm me. Something like that. I don't really care. But let's get into this article today, folks, from That Part Place, because honestly, this is wild. I know I'm doing an impersonation of Jeff Tarzia, aka Smash JT. Okay.
Watch this space.
Yes, hallelujah, it's the video show. And now, the man the BBC calls
Jason King on Kung Fu Hot Dog.
And don't forget, folks, if you enjoyed this video today, make sure you like. You don't have to subscribe, and you might want to join. But here we are. Disney cancels UK Snow White premiere amid backlash and fears of negative Rachel Zegler press will limit her to tightly control press events. Can we just look at this photograph right here of Ms. Zegler looking all emaciated, and hidden behind that small pea-sized head of hers are some cogwheels going round and round ever so slowly, being controlled by midgets inside of her skull-like cranium. But let's carry on, folks. I do talk a load of rubbish, don't I? But I guess that's the reason why you watch my videos. Disney's live-action Snow White is shaping up to be one of the most disastrous trouble releases in recent memory. I'm just rephrasing this, by the way. And now a major red flag has appeared. The company has cancelled its planned Snow Not So White UK premiere, reportedly over the concerns I've already highlighted. I mean, when you look at this article, they've already spent, this is Disney, $200 million plus just to market the damn film. They've had to go and reshoot things. Remember that awful Daily Mail photo drop where you had like real people dressed up as if it was the 1960s San Francisco without flowers in their hair as dwarves, except they weren't dwarves, they were normal sized people of all different ethnicities and I assume pronouns. This decision suggests that Disney fully understands how negatively the film has been received and is now taking steps to limit the damage as much as possible ahead of its March 21 release date. The thing is, Disney, all you had to do was not make a live-action version of this film. You probably thought that everybody was going to be shilling for it, and I guess there are members of the media who are doing exactly that, but nobody's buying it. Not just because of the casting of Zegler, not just because she's a very controversial Hollywood figure. Nobody wants to go and watch an update of Snow White. So instead of the usual high-profile Snow Not So White UK premiere, which would have taken place in Leicester Square, the studio has scaled down media appearances. Don't forget, these premieres cost money to set up, right? I guess if they were to go ahead with the premiere, it would probably be at least, I don't know, £50,000. Don't forget, you got to pay for the security. For the guests who are turning up, you might have to give them some kind of a fee just to show up there. They're not going to turn up for free, are they? I was surprised they were actually going to do this. You thought Disney would have just stood their ground and say, yeah, you know what, bro? We're going to go there. We want to protect Rachel Zegler. I'm also hearing as well that Disney are trying to distance themselves from Ms. Zegler. That's quite a possibility. And she's been widely criticized for her comments dismissing the 1937 classic.
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
I guess Zegler never grew up the way that I did. I even watched Chip and Dale on the BBC back in the day. I love Chip and Dale, think they're great characters. And she's probably never seen Watership Down or Lady and the Tramp. Oh, that scene where Tramp and Lady are eating that spaghetti and they get closer and closer. That is still one of the... Damn, that moment gives me... You know, even when I speak about that now, I'm getting... chills down my spine. It's such a great moment. I love that. I need to buy that film, funny enough. But again, her version of Snow White doesn't need no man. She's the leader. She's going to lead the dwarfs. I'm going to call them midgets, right? To the fray to defeat the evil queen as played by Gal Gadot. I'm going to say this much. I'm not always the biggest fan of Gadot. I think she's a very good public speaker, actually. But she sings in the film, apparently, which I didn't know. I only found this out because they publicly showed the soundtrack listing of the songs, and she and Zegler actually sing their own versions of songs. I think some of them are new compositions. But remember, when it was lockdown and Gal Gadot decided to ruin John Lennon's Imagine, and how did that go down for her? Not very well. Here's a quick reminder.
The fuck is this piece of shit?
So we kind of forgave Gal after that, but then she gave us Wonder Woman 2 after that, and nobody wants to remember that film in a hurry. But again, if you're a long-time Disney fan, Zegler dismissing the 1937 film, which has Christian values in it, by the way. If you look closely and you hear closely, I've talked about those before. Coming from a guy who doesn't declare himself religious, by the way, but I do care about people who have their own religious point of view on things, as long as it doesn't encroach on what I like. It could be the opposite of what they oppose, right? Another sign of trouble for Snow White. Its expected opening is between $63 and $70 million. Domestically, that's terrible. Worldwide, they might even say it'll gross at least $600 to $700 million. I think it'll be a lot less. I think it'll be Ant-Man 3 levels of cringe, maybe 430 million if I'm being generous. It might be one of those films that when it opens, it goes strong, but then the second and third week, it's just going to plummet further and further into the hemisphere, or in the anus of Bob Iger. So, Ms. Zegler, I wish you the best of luck. I would say the breast of luck, but if you look closely at Ms. Zegler, she doesn't have any boobs to talk about. And maybe she did give herself a bit of an augmentation in that area and ate a bit more food. She might find a new fan base. So I dare you, Rachel Zegler, do that. Enhance yourself and you might win my vote of sympathy. Speaking of sympathy, folks, I've caved in, actually. I've sold my soul to the devil for a short while. I guess that's probably a very intended pun of words. Because yes, yesterday I signed up for $4.99 a month for Shizney Plus, just so that I can watch Daredevil Reborn Again. Although it is called Born Again, but it's whatever. They're calling it Born Again, even though season 3 of the Netflix Daredevil was actually the storyline for that particular awesome last season. I think Drew Goddard has returned to write some episodes. I might be wrong about that, but I'm going to watch the first 2. I'll give you a quick afterthoughts video over the weekend. I understand after episode 3 it gets better, so I can't wait. And I've already heard a spoiler about the first episode. I'll probably divulge that as well. I'm skeptical about it, by the way, but yeah, I'm going to watch those today and see what I think. I could download it and watch it and not give Disney my money, but there's some other things on Disney that are not cartoon and film related that I want to show my mum, some documentary stuff, and there is Jeremy Renner's house building show, the renovations, because it's Jeremy Renner, renovate. Yeah, I love awful puns like that because I'm an awful man. But if I were you folks, and if you were me, and I wouldn't want to be like, ooh, 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 Rachel Zegler, then leave a comment below, smash that subscribe button, hit the join button, and I'll catch you catching me for the return of the next video. I do like my logo right here. Well, you keep bouncing up and down like that. Yeah, oh, yeah, very, also slowly. I've got to work on the bouncing motion on that thing.
We have a different approach to what I'm sure a lot of people will assume is a love story just because, like, we cast a guy in the movie. Right. Andrew Burnap, great dude. Yeah. It's one of those things that I think everyone's going to have their assumptions about what it's actually going to be, but it's really not about the love story at all, which is really, really wonderful. And whether or not she finds love along the way is anybody's guess until 2024.